welcome back to the Top 3 show here on Johnny Radio, the show where I talk to some of my favorite artists about their favorite artists. And I'm so excited today to have a true artist himself. You may know him as the drummer from Death Therapy. You may also know him as a multi-instrumentalist from a band called Love. He may even be the secret sauce of that band. Just super talented dude all around. He's a husband, dad, just an all around great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Blake Aldridge, welcome to the show, man.
Dude, what an intro. I don't deserve all that, but thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Dude, so excited. And we may be seeing a little bit of a pattern here. Second a band called Love member out of five thus far on the
Hmm.
show for the second episode. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what everyone's taste is. I wonder if there's
Yeah.
going to be any overlap too. We'll see, I guess.
There may be I listened to Brooks' episode. There may be a little bit of
Nice.
overlap. But I would say most of us in the band have certainly not identical music tastes, but similar.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, let's get into it, man.
yeah.
First question, your top three favorite albums of all time, starting
Yeah.
with number three.
Yeah, man. So I'm sure everyone's going to say this, but all of these were very difficult.
Of course.
And shout out to my wife. She helped me make a list of like my top, six or seven for each, and we kind of dwindled it down. So
Oh, cool, man. Group effort.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, certainly, yeah. There's a lot of really good stuff on here. But and of course we'll get into kind of some of the explanations. But my number three is going to be Bon Iver's 22 a Million.
Nice.
Came out in I believe 2016, but to me, this certainly makes the list because I feel like it's just a geniusly written and produced and performed record. And I think we'll find a theme with this conversation will be a lot of these a lot of these I rank so highly because of what they mean to me. Other than just being really great bodies of work or artists, just kind of the sentimental value that they hold to me is why a lot of these make the list. For
Yeah.
this one, this really came at a time when I was dealing with a lot of kind of newfound mental health issues, and was on some medication and things like that, and thankfully I'm past a lot of that now. But this just came to me at a time where I was going through a lot, and it really just was a comfort listen to me. On top of being, again, like I said, just a brilliant album.
Yeah.
The way he uses vocoders was really just expertly done. The instrumentation and Bon Iver's just pretty quintessential kind of cryptic lyric content. So I just think this album is so out of the box for me, and so
Hmm.
just not something that you would hear first listen and be like, wow, this is great. It really kind of takes a little while to get used to if you're not used to his style. But yeah, I mean, what a record. To me, it's no skips. All of these are no skips for sure. But
Yeah.
it's just an experience front to back, starting with, it might be over soon, all the way to the
Hmm.
last track. It's just, I mean, I could listen to it all day, every day if I had to. It's so great.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, what a voice that guy has.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so creative to what he does with it and with the vocoder as well. Like you said, outside the box. And I know Ryan's a big fan as well. There may be
Yeah.
overlap on his list, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can see the influence on a band called Love a bit here and
Yeah.
there on some
Certainly.
of the songs. So very cool. Great pick, man. So what's your number two?
So it's got to be Metallica's Black Album.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Awesome. Yeah.
Released in 1991. Just, I mean, what is there to say? It's so good. And this is the record that got me into music.
Okay.
I remember hearing this at my uncle's house in Jackson County, and just being blown away by just the songwriting. Of course, Enter Sandman being the opening track, it just kind of blows you away with that riff and the drum, the do 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 do
Oh,
do
yeah.
do do, just the build up to that big intro, and then you get the release of that awesome riff, and then the chorus and the solo. I mean, I could just talk forever about just even
That
that
solo,
song,
man.
but
Like, yeah, I could go on and
yeah,
on. Like Kirk Hammett, his use of the wah
crazy.
pedal on the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
album, but that song specifically is nuts. Yeah.
yeah. And I started. I know you mentioned multi instrumentalist. Drums was my kind of first
Hmm.
instrument. Guitar was pretty close after, but drums was certainly the first that I got into. And just hearing Lars's, playing on there, people can say what they want about him as a drummer. I mean, I don't think anyone would say he's the best drummer in the world, but I think his drumming is accessible to people.
Oh yeah.
Um, and for me as a kid, hearing that, I mean, I heard that and I was like, I have to do this. This is all I've ever wanted to do since then.
That's
And I
awesome.
got my
Yeah.
first, I've got my first drum kit for my ninth birthday, and it's really been just the rest is history from there. So that
Yeah.
that record's super influential to me. And again, produced by Bob Rock, just great sonically, great sounding record,
Hmm.
um, and just really some masterfully written songs. So love that one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like Metallica was already on my radar as a young kid at the time. Like, and one, of course, was huge. And that, I mean, if you're not a fan of Lars's drumming, just listen to that song.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
crazy.
when the Black album came out, it's like they crossed the threshold, and I think a lot had to do with the production, but also the songwriting. Like, Nothing Else Matters, just one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest ballads by any band, really. And then
Yeah,
just so many hits like Wherever I May Roam and Sad But True, Unforgiven. It's all there, man. So
man.
yeah.
I know. And we saw them, we got to see them at Mercedes Benz in 2021.
Oh man.
It was such a
Nice.
treat. It was such a treat. My father-in-law's company, like, is, I don't know if they own a box there or they have like reserved seats at a box there.
Oh wow.
But we got to see them pretty close to the front in a
Yeah.
box, and it was without a doubt the loudest concert I've ever been to.
Yeah, yeah.
It was definitely loud, but such a cool experience to see. And that's the only time I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
But
Man, I
such a
haven't had a chance to see them, but I know they're great
so
live.
cool, so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, such a treat.
Nice, man. Great pick. Well, what's your number one?
So this is my number one because I think it's, again, no skips, front to back. I think it's a near perfect record. It's got to be the 1975's "Being Funny in a Foreign Language" that came out in 2022.
Hmm.
I've been a fan of theirs since they, not since they were a band, but since they were kind of well known. 2012, 13 area is when I really got into them. So I followed their trajectory from the start, really, from their commercial success at least. Every
Yeah.
record of theirs, I think, is near perfect. I mean, you'll see they're on all of my lists. Which, spoiler alert.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I think this one is just such a quintessential 1975 sound. Like, a lot of their records kind of distilled into one excuse me, one picture of what this band looks like, and just
Hmm.
the music content along with the lyric content, on top of even seeing interviews that the band has done where they talk about how they've grown as people and how it's kind of all culminated into this experience of a record. It just means a
Yeah.
lot to me. And it's their trajectory as a band is something that I kind of aspire to for a band called Love, just that slow organic growth. And then
Hmm.
eventually, being in a place where you are commercially successful, but also staying totally true to who you are. So yeah, I have to say that's probably my desert island. And again,
Yeah.
on top of that, like, being just in my music production mind, I think they are a band that makes a lot of, if not all of, the production choices that I would make. And not to say that I'm some super enlightened music producer, but if
Yeah.
I hear a vocal, I'm like, oh, that should have a slapback delay on it or a reverb, and they do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah.
a guitar
They
part.
just hit all the buttons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
Whether it's drums, guitar, keys, or vocals, like, I just, like I said, that's probably my desert island record. I just think it's really great. No, no skips, front to back.
Yeah, that's a great pick too, man. Yeah, and Ian actually got me into them a bit. I haven't found an entry point to the point where like I love them that much yet,
Yeah,
but um I may have to revisit that album for sure. And I definitely like from an artistry standpoint, like I love all the decisions that they make. Like their music videos are always so interesting.
yeah,
Just live they sound amazing,
yeah.
and they sound like the record too, which is not an easy feat these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, the production spot on, and
Yeah.
yeah, just really great. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And if I may, I have an honorable mention for each of the categories. Is that okay?
of course, yeah,
Okay,
man.
cool.
We'll make it four
Um,
like letterboxed. Yeah.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Sure.
my honorable mention would be the record called Birth Eater by Oceana. And
Oh yeah.
they are slash were a heavy kind of like scene core band, you could call it, from back in the day. But this record came
Right.
out in 2009, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
it followed up their debut record called The Tide, which I thought was really, really great. Just if you're into that kind of breakdown, melodic kind of chugging kind of music, which I was at the time,
Yeah.
that the record The Tide was really good. But the reason Birth Eater is on here, and I guess the reason it didn't make the list, that the top three list, was because as a body of work, it's good, but it's not something that I've listened to in a long time, and it's not something that I would certainly say I'm even in love with. But the reason I want to give it as an honorable mention is because it really changed the way that I thought about songwriting. Um,
Mm.
and the reason is, when I heard this record for the first time, I hated it. Um, Sonically,
Yeah.
I don't even think this is a hot take, but sonically, it's not a good sounding record. Like,
Mm.
from the guitar tones, the drum tones sound very music people will know what I'm talking about, but drumagog, like that fake replacement that sounds super kind of cardboardy.
Yeah.
The guitar tones are super fizzy with that, PV 5150 kind of sound.
Right.
And I was like, this sucks. So I turned it off, and I was like, I'm not listening to this. This is awful. But when I revisited it, it really made me think about like the song, as opposed to like, this is a cool riff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I really appreciated it for that. And then we got to play, my first band that I was in, my first kind of local band. We got to open up for them a couple of times. And one of the times we like shared gear with them. They used our gear because they were on tour in a van. And we just kind of got to kind of chop it up with them a little bit. Super nice people, super humble, and they were just a joy to be around. So that record is an honorable mention for me. And
Awesome.
again,
Yeah.
the new Bleachers record's really great. The Boy Genius, the record by the Boy Genius, is really great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, Lost in the Sound of Separation by Under Oath is another really, really great album too. So those are kind of my rapid fire shout outs.
Nice, man. Yeah, I love it. I love how it's kind of all over the place,
Yeah,
genre wise. You can tell yeah, you definitely love a lot of different stuff, which is
yeah,
great. So cool. All right. Well, great answers, man. So from here, we're gonna go to top three favorite artists.
okay.
What would be your number three there?
Yeah, definitely some overlap again. Metallica, number three.
Okay.
Um, Again, being the band that got me into music. And
Yeah.
I say that, like, a lot of people you'll hear say, like, I've always grew up listening to music, but it was, one or two bands that really like kind of
Hmm.
click, and they were the first one for me.
Yeah.
Um, Black Album, like I said, is my number two album, but all of their records are great.
Yeah.
Starting from, what is their first one? Kill 'Em All.
Kill 'Em All, I think, is the first
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Seek and Destroy on that record,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could talk forever about them. And it's one of my wife's favorite bands, so that was kind of one of our bonds when we started dating.
That's cool.
Was how much we like them. So yeah, Metallica number three for sure. Just, I mean, the legendary band, for heavy music.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
so many people, that's their like foray into music. So
Sure.
just nothing but appreciation for Metallica.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's great. All right. So what's your number two?
Number two would be the 1975. I think I've talked at length a little bit about how much I enjoy them already, but again, I just think the
Yeah.
choices they make musically are just not the right choices. Music is so subjective, but in
Yeah.
my opinion, some of the right choices. I just, their songwriting, them as people. I don't know them obviously, but as people, they seem like stand up people. And it's just music that I've just so grown a fond of over the years, and it's music that has influenced my drumming, my guitar playing, my songwriting. It's just a group that I just cherish so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes perfect sense. So
yeah.
is your number one also a holdover from before, or go in a different direction?
It was one of my rapid fire shout outs. It's going to be Under Oath.
Nice. Okay.
Um, I am I am a 30-year-old suburban dad who has a regular corporate job, but I will always be a scene kid at heart.
Yeah.
Always love my chug breakdowns, and not that they're a super chuggy band, but excuse me, they are just the band for me. I've seen them live tons of times, and they are one of the best live bands. Um, Although funny enough, they didn't make the concert list. They are one of the best live bands I've ever seen, and they are
Yeah.
just constantly innovating. You know, all of their records to me just are, progressions of the last. I'm going to see them on this 20-year They're Only Chasing Safety tour. They're coming to Atlanta in December,
Oh, cool.
playing at the Tabernacle, which is my favorite Atlanta venue.
Same.
Love
Yeah.
that place, man. That's like one of my
Oh, yeah.
bucket list places to play.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want to play there
dude.
so bad, and the Roxy. I really want to play there too. My wife and I went there last week to see a show.
That's a great venue too. But yeah, I
Yeah,
have not seen a bad show at the Tabernacle. It's like a
same.
magical place, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, Under Oath, man, they just mean so much to me. Of course, Aaron Gillespie's drumming was hugely influential on probably every drummer that's my age, or within
Oh,
10
yeah.
years of my age.
Yeah.
Just a total legendary drummer. And again, their songwriting is just so top notch. I think Erase Me is a kind of a little bit of controversial record, you could say, from them. Was kind of their first foray back into music after they broke up for over 10 years. But I thought it was great. I mean, I think everything they've done is great. And they're just,
And their sound is just huge,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
especially live, but yeah.
yeah. And again,
Uh,
like I said earlier, a lot of these entries just mean a lot to me sentimentally, and
mhm.
they're just that band for me. I don't really know how else to say it. They're just that band for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's to me, yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's like, there's so many albums that are just, objectively great, but it's the ones that really like hit you at a certain time in life. Like you mentioned with Bon Iver, like going through some tough stuff, or just or Metallica being like the band that got you into music.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it totally makes sense to go with those picks as like it's so hard to just pick three anyway. But
Totally.
did you have any honorable mention shout outs on
I
this list?
did. I
Okay.
did. One band that you will probably hear at length about from one of my best friends, Ian, is Coldplay.
Oh, of
They
course,
are
yeah.
they are one of the best to do it ever. I mean,
I agree.
objectively, probably the biggest band of all time. And their Music of the Spheres tour that they just ended slash announced again, or Mune Music,
Yeah.
highest grossing tour. They are just a legendary band. I think the only reason they didn't make the list for me is because, if I'm being honest, I'm not incredibly familiar with their work other than like the big hits.
Yeah.
So I can't get into the super minutia again like Ian can, and I'm sure he will.
I'm
Um,
sure,
but
yes.
but I love that band, I really do. And then Noah Gunderson, he is a singer songwriter.
Yep.
Um, I
I've heard of him. I want to say
Yeah.
I've heard some of his stuff, but I'm not sure. Is he a newer artist?
I would say within the last 15 years. I
Okay.
got I
Okay.
got into him right when I started college. Excuse me, and he was more of a kind of an acoustic singer songwriter guy, but now
Yeah.
his albums are more full band. But
Okay.
I really don't think he's put out anything that I don't like either. And
Yeah.
honestly, there's not really a reason he didn't make the list. I just really love those other three, I guess, a little bit more. But
Yeah.
Noah, if for some crazy reason you ever hear this, I would kill to be your touring guitar player. Um, if for some
Yeah.
reason you ever hear this, but yeah, man,
You
he
never
he is
know.
just he's incredible. His newest record, "This Is the End." Gosh, I hope I'm saying that right, or "If This Is the End." Just
Yeah.
beautifully written. But yeah,
Cool.
man,
Yeah, I'll make sure to check him out because that name has rung a bell a few times, but I don't think I've
it's
ever
great.
like dove into his music. So
Yeah, he's
cool.
great. I believe he's from the West Coast. I want to say near Seattle, but I could be wrong about that. But West Coast guy for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, great, man. That's awesome. So now we move on to the really hard one to narrow
Yeah,
down. Top three songs of all
sure,
time.
sure.
Almost
So
impossible. But what's your number three?
yeah, again, some overlap here, but my number three has to be "Breathing in a New Mentality" by Under Oath.
Okay.
which is the opening track off their 2008 record, Lost in the Sound of Separation.
Yeah.
This makes the list for me because I believe it is the perfect opener for a record.
Yeah.
Again, if you're into heavy music, it starts off with the kind of really background filtery room mic drum sound, but it's a really aggressive fast part, and it just breaks into the main riff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, it's just like getting kicked in the teeth with a wall of sound.
Right.
If you ever see them play it live, when I've seen them play it live, that it hasn't been the first track, but even still, it's just as impactful.
Yeah.
And it's rather short. I'd say it's maybe barely over 2 minutes long, so it's not super long.
Mm-hmm.
But it is just start to finish a gut punch of a track, and it just like gets me hyped. I was listening to it in the car the other day for the first time in a while, honestly,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Holy crap, dude! Like this is it. Like this is a quintessential, like this is what a heavy song should be, and especially this is what
Yeah.
an opener should be."
Yeah, yeah. Would you say
So
that like drum wise is he like one of your biggest influences or on for
yeah,
you?
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't get to play that like super fast aggressive style of drumming.
Right.
In Death Therapy, it's we call ourselves kind of industrial groove metal.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of like four on the floor type stuff. Not a lot of super fast riffing going on the drums.
Yeah.
There is double bass in Death Therapy, but not a ton. And in Under Oath, I would honestly say they haven't used double bass in a long time.
Yeah.
But certainly the way he thinks or seems to think about playing drums has influenced me a lot about kind of like part writing and kind of phrasing, if you will.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and a lot of his linear type drumming, which is for drummers, for non-drummers, that's playing one note at a time, which kind of sounds silly, but it's when you play a fill that's all kick, snare, tom, snare, kick, it's all one
Right, right.
line basically of parts.
Yeah.
I've seen that show up a lot on their recent few records, and just the way that he implements a lot of those, and again, the choices that he makes on the drums
Yeah.
have influenced me a lot. So yeah, and he's one of their principal songwriters. So it just kind of hammers again the notion that like they are that band for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
yeah,
Nice. Okay. So what's your number two?
yeah. Number two is "It's Not Living If It's Not With You" by the 1975.
Okay. Yeah.
From their record, "A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships." This to me is, there might be some haters about this, but this is the to me this is the best song written in the last like 10 years or so.
Okay.
Um, it's a super poppy kind of pop rock song.
Hmm.
I think it is almost a perfect song.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's anything I would change about it ever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's just so good. Like from the production of the drums to the vocals to the just that riff that plays over and over in the intro and the chorus.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it's just so good. I just the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is a damn good song. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's just it. I don't know. It just gets me going, man.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, and what's so cool too about music in the last 10 years or so is like it still to me feels a little like the Wild West in a good way as
Yeah,
far
for
as
sure,
like
for sure.
everybody having totally different favorites,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
even though the 1975 is pretty huge at this point,
yeah.
um but yeah, it's like I think most people if you said like what's your favorite song of the last 10 years, there'd be so many different answers like in a good way. But yeah, that's a great one, man. Great pick. So
Yeah.
what's your number one?
So this is where I enlisted my wife's help a lot, and this is probably the longest list that I had to dwindle down, but it's got to be "Fix You" by Coldplay.
Ah,
Um,
nice.
it's
That's
just,
good. Yeah.
I mean, gosh, yeah, when the tears come streaming down your face and you lose something you can't erase, like,
Yeah.
um, I probably
That
just,
that
I
really
probably just got
is
those words wrong, but
like the ultimate. No, I think you got it exactly right. That is kind of the ultimate Coldplay song.
oh,
Like
dude,
as much as like for me, like Politic is my favorite just for
okay, okay,
personal reasons. Like that was the song that really got me into them. But Fix You, yeah, it's like it's just got everything to love about Coldplay in one song,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
way to put it. That I hadn't actually
Yeah.
really thought about, but it's
Yeah.
all the best. It's all my favorite elements of them. And I think they are one of the bands, maybe just as much, if not more so, than the 1975 for me, where it's hard to pick your favorite song
Yeah.
because they're all so damn good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. Seeing that live, I got to
dude,
see them at Mercedes-Benz most recently with Ryan and Ian actually.
yeah, I was there.
And you were?
Yeah, me and my wife were there. We were like a few rows from you guys, I think.
Oh, dude, I didn't even realize
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
crazy. Yeah, what a show, man.
dude,
It was, and that
dude.
song especially, that hit
Yeah,
me like
that's
in all the
foreshadowing into
ways.
our next. It's foreshadowing into our next section.
Okay, okay, nice.
um,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
but yeah, dude, Fix You was. It's just when it gets to
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that riff at the end.
That build up is
Yeah,
perfect.
in a
Yeah.
good like 6
Johnny
4
Buckland is
1
so
2.
underrated as a guitarist, man.
Tell
Like
me
he just
about it.
does like the perfect things at the
Yeah,
perfect times, you
I
know?
agree totally. In a good 6 4 1 5 chord progression, it's
Yeah.
just a heartbreaking chord progression.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I have to say, like when that song comes on, I never turn it off. I never skip it. I just let it play through. And it's a
Yeah.
tearjerker, man.
Oh, totally.
So,
Yeah. That's so
so
cool, man. For now that I think about it, I remember Ian was saying he was texting somebody that was also there. I guess that must have been
yeah,
you. So yeah.
yeah. It was a cool, and I'll get to it. I won't, give up too much about it yet, but it is on my next list. But it just that
Yeah.
day itself was just it meant a
Yeah.
lot to me, and being able to see them was just really great. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. I have to mention before I'm sure we'll get into that a little more, but that was actually my third time seeing them, and each time
oh,
it
cool.
was at a bigger and bigger venue.
Yeah.
Uh, and the first time was actually on the A Rush of Blood to the Head tour in Atlanta at the Masquerade of all places,
No
if you can believe
way,
that.
dude.
But it gets even crazier. So we got there early. Um, and it was just so weird, like this crowd outside in the parking lot, like something had happened. And
Hmm.
turned out there had been a hurricane earlier that day that blew the roof off the Masquerade and ruined like their
No
equipment.
way, dude.
And but for the people that got there early, just Chris and Johnny did a acoustic set out in the parking lot for just like 40 minutes or so, but it was awesome. And we're like, this close to him. And then they refunded the tickets anyway. Like that's how cool Coldplay is, man. I love them.
What year was that?
That would have been, I think, 2002.
Okay, I was in
Yeah.
second grade.
It was right after Rush of Blood that had like was released. So before
Okay,
they really blew up.
okay.
But I mean, of course, Yellow was big, but
Oh yeah, dude. That was my
yeah.
number one song on Spotify last year. Was
Oh,
Yellow.
nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
song's
many great songs, man. So
yeah.
many
And
great songs.
a band called Love, we covered that song at a show or two. We covered
That's
Yellow.
right. That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
so yeah, great song. That's a great one too.
Well, cool, man. Any other honorable mentions you wanted to throw out on this list or?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. My biggest honorable mention would be Highlands by Hillsong.
Okay.
That is a beautiful song. Some people I'm sure know. I'm a person of faith, Christian, and I play in the worship team on several churches.
Yeah.
And not to get too deep into it, but I had a bit of a deconstruction phase over the past several years, and I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, I've really kind of found what my faith means to me
That's
in my
awesome.
relationship with the Lord, what that means to me. And one of the lyrics in this song, I would search and stop at nothing, but you're just not that hard to find. Um, I mean, every time I hear that, I
Mhm.
get tears in my eyes, like no exaggeration. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whenever we get to play that song, I just enjoy it so much, and just speaks to the power of like it. If I had to go looking for God, I would stop at no. I mean, it would stop at just like the lyric says. I would stop at nothing.
Right.
There's no stone I would leave unturned. But His grace just covers it all. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
abundant, and He's not hard to find because He's everywhere.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's beautiful,
so
man.
yeah, that
And
means a
so
lot to
true.
me. And then
Yeah.
Beautiful Exchange by Hillsong. I've got it. My first ever tattoo was the Beautiful Exchange. I love that
Nice.
song, and
Yeah.
it's just a testament to Christ exchanging His life for our sins. And then just a really fun song that I love is called "Who's That? What's That" by a British rapper called Nico B.
Okay.
It's just a silly, really fun song that always just really gets me hyped up, and I love it. So
Nice, man. That's
yeah.
awesome. Great list, dude. And yeah, so you said you're on multiple worship teams at the moment, or
Yeah, I've been at a church in Carrollton for about 5 years called First Christian Church. Beautiful place, beautiful people, and I've been
Mhm.
on the team there, like I said, for about 5 years. And then I've
Yeah.
been at the Vine with the other guys, Ian, Austin, Ryan,
Oh,
and
right. Yeah,
Brooks.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it, we all play there at some point
Yeah.
or another. But I've
Right, right. At the Flowery
it's
Branch campus, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and
I'm usually at the other one, so yeah.
yep, and I live in Noonan, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half from Flowery Branch. So I make it up there probably once every 7, 8 weeks, and not super often, but I've been there a handful of
Right.
times. I was there this past weekend actually with the guys,
Yeah.
and what a cool place, man! Just a
Oh, it's
great,
great.
yeah, amazing
We love it.
community, amazing
Yeah.
staff, and it doesn't hurt that we're a good band too. So
Absolutely. Yeah, both campuses, man, are amazing. And actually, just a couple weeks ago, they had like just a worship night that the two campuses kind of collided, some from this and some from
oh,
that one.
cool,
It was a really beautiful night, and it got really more into like a night of prayer,
that's
which was
great.
really beautiful thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, man. And then
yeah.
Austin put on a cool thing um, just in the last couple weeks of just like for the worship team, and it was just like an acoustic, really
That's
laid back
cool,
thing, and that was great too.
man.
But
Shout
yeah,
out Austin, dude.
shout out Austin, shout out
Yeah.
Divine, just
Shout
great
out Austin.
people
Yeah. Shout
all
out
around.
Austin and shout out Evan, the music directors at the Vine campuses.
Yeah,
And dude, Austin, like, I'm a drummer, honestly, a drummer first and foremost, but like Austin is the drummer for a band called Love. Like that nobody can do it the way that he does it.
yeah,
Um, and I started the band, I started in the band playing drums and kind of worked my way over to now playing guitar, keys, and singing. So I got my hands even more full now than I did with you know 2 arms and 2 legs playing drums.
yeah.
But dude, there's nobody that can play our music the way he can, and he's just. I mean, all of us are essential to the band, but he really is like kind of the glue that holds our band together. So shout out Austin, man.
That's so cool, man. I really feel, and I know this is like corny to say, but it's in the name of the band, obviously, but you can really feel the
Yeah,
love between all the members and that you guys are really like in it together, like
yeah,
all for
man.
one for all. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I could talk about that forever, but we are friends before we are a band, and I think that's what makes us
Yeah.
work so well together. I met Ian in 2007 when I was 13. I met Ryan shortly after that. And Brooks and Austin, I met them actually not long ago, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I love each of those dudes like family. And we are, you know, if God wills it, if we are successful slash when we are successful, it'll be mostly because it starts from a foundation of we just love each other. We love being with each other.
Yeah.
We love just the time that we get to spend together. And again, it's the icing on the cake that we're a good band.
Yeah.
And I personally think we write great songs. Some of the stuff we have kind of in the can right now is really really great in my opinion.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm like I wish I could say more about what's coming soon, but
Yeah,
I
man,
know there's a lot of exciting stuff to come, but I'll
for
just
sure.
say like to me Dots is just that's one of my favorite songs of the last 10 years if somebody was holding a gun
Wow,
to my head. Like
thanks,
I
dude.
That's incredible. Like, and just multiple songs that you guys have done. Of course, Colors Bloom. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. So everybody
Yeah.
stay tuned in the very near future, hopefully.
Yes,
But,
yes, yes.
and of
Thank you
course,
so
the big
much.
show in December. So
Yes, we are
yeah,
opening for Christmas on Mars, which is the 5th year anniversary of the Callous Boys record Die on Mars. For anyone listening,
yeah.
we are actually opening that show, so get there early to check us
December
out.
7th
That's right.
at the Masquerade, right?
That's right. Yep, at
Nice.
Altar, which is the newest room at the Masquerade.
That's cool.
The newest and smallest. I haven't been there yet, actually, but I've heard it's awesome. So I'm excited to be there.
Sweet, man. Great. Yeah, me too. I can't wait. So, okay, so now we have made it to the final question, man. Your top three favorite concert experiences of all time. I'm pretty sure I know one
Yes.
of them. But
Yes.
what is your number three?
So number three has to be when I saw the Wonder Years at the Old Masquerade in Heaven in
Okay.
2016. I can't remember the exact lineup, but I can't remember the first band. They were great, but it was the first band, whoever they were, and then a band called Knuckle Puck, which I like a lot. Then a band called Real Friends, and then Moose Blood, and then the Wonder Years, and that's kind of like the Mount Rushmore of pop punk music. For and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that's a hot take, but it kind of is to me at least.
Right,
The
right.
Mount Rushmore of pop punk, and if you know anything about pop punk, excuse me, super like cathartic, emotional release, like just
Yeah.
emotionally heavy music. And I saw this show, I want to say like less than a week after a really nasty breakup that was at the time prior to my marriage, it was my longest relationship
Mm.
that ended honestly pretty poorly. I'll say that. And just to be able to go to that show a few days later and just have that huge emotional release, like crying in the pit type stuff,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
it was just again very cathartic for me. Not to mention, I love those bands. The Wonder Years, a lot of people know, have their kind of logo, you'll if you want to call it that,
Hmm.
which is Hank the Pigeon. And I have Hank the Pigeon tattooed on my thigh. I'm looking at it right now. Um,
That's cool, man.
my wife
Yeah.
hates it. My daughter calls it the bird. Um, if I'm
Yeah.
wearing shorts, you can like see the little bird feet poking out of my shorts. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that I love that band. Great show, and it was at the Old Masquerade, which was probably full of OSHA violations, um,
Yeah. Can
but
I just say I miss the old Masquerade, man.
oh
As
yeah,
much as
dude.
I love the new one, yeah, it was just a special place, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all of the grime and the
Yeah, oh yeah,
safety hazards all adds to the charm of the place. It was just such
definitely.
a formative venue for so many people in Atlanta. The new
Oh
one's
yeah.
obviously beautiful, very professional. Not that they weren't before, but just super professional. Great place to play. I've been lucky enough to play in every room there, um, and it's just a super cool place to be. But the old one, man, yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
vibe.
Oh
I
yeah.
like the grime, the grit, like the
Right.
chaos of it all. I really like it. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my number three show. Just a really, like I said, emotionally heavy show for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I loved all the bands that played. So
Nice, man. Okay, so what's your number two?
yes, this is gonna sound like a flex. I promise I don't mean it to be a flex, but earlier this year, Death Therapy, we were over in Zurich, Switzerland, to play a festival.
Oh my
Um,
God.
it was yeah, we've
How
this is the
cool is
second,
that?
dude. It was so sick. It's called the Elements of Rock Festival.
Wow.
It's the second time we've done it. We did it back in 2018. And this year we went with Death Therapy. And some people may know the singer of Death Therapy. His name is Jason Wisdom. He is also the front man of Becoming the Archetype, which is like kind of a legendary Solid State Records,
Mm-hmm.
late 90s, early 2000s kind of heavy metal band from that kind of Christian scene. But
Right,
it's a
right.
Christian festival. So we went over there with Become the Archetype, and Death Therapy is like a cohort, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Death Therapy played Friday night, and then the next day, the 1975 was playing in Zurich. So
Whoa.
yeah, man. So I took a train
That's that's
to
cool.
like yeah, man. I took a train to downtown Zurich, like the proper city center, by myself. Spent the whole day walking around to different coffee shops. I went to like four coffee. I probably drank way too much coffee, but I
Yeah,
went to like
yeah.
four coffee shops. I went to the Swiss History Museum, just kind of walking around quietly in Zurich, just absorbing it all, and then took a
Did you have some
tram.
good chocolate, I'm sure, too, over there?
Yeah, man. Of course, of course.
Oh yeah.
And then took a tram up to the arena, which is about 10 minutes away from the city center.
Hmm.
And it was just, I mean, I've already talked at length about them.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands ever, and just to see them in that environment, so far away from home,
Hmm.
but still see things that I'm familiar with. It was just such a cool experience. And then after that show, I went back to the festival that we were playing, and Become the Archetype had just finished, and we all
Hmm.
went out for drinks and with some of the locals, and it was just a great time, just a great
Wow.
trip, a great experience.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So was that were there any other European stops on like a tour over there, or was it just the one festival or for that trip?
Yeah, this time around it was just that one. If I'm
Yeah.
honest, we probably spent more time traveling than we did in country,
Yeah.
in Switzerland. But dude, I mean, I could talk forever. This just the most beautiful place in the world.
I
Um,
want to go, man. Yeah.
dude, I
I've
cannot
I've been a
recommend it
couple
enough.
places in Europe, but still haven't made it there. So,
Yeah, and we did this festival called Loud and Proud out
mhm.
in Bedsdorf, Germany last October. Super small town, like very unassuming. You'd think there's a heavy metal festival being played there, but it was packed, dude, and it was so cool. Like we've been to
Mhm.
Germany, been very lucky to be to we've been very lucky to play all over the world. And again, not a flex by any means, just it's just we have been.
That's okay.
Uh,
If I mean, that's a good
yeah.
flex.
Yeah, I suppose
So
so. I
yeah,
mean, it's I
yeah,
just feel so fortunate to be able to do that. And on top
yeah,
of that, like being able to have a career and support my family and
yeah,
just to be
man.
able to break away and do things like that. I just feel so lucky to be able to do it. But yeah, that was the last show we've played as a band. And maybe not necessarily our last show, but we've got a couple songs in the can, if you will. Hopefully those will be released sometime in the next year or so. They were recorded a year ago.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
hopefully within the next year or so they'll be out. But um, ask Jason. I don't know. I don't have control over that stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
man, that show was really great. And of course, I'm sure we can all use our context clues and figure out what number one was. But uh,
Indeed, yeah. That which
one
is yeah, I don't blame you for that. What an amazing night.
100% Coldplay at Mercedes Benz.
Yeah,
Um, if I'm sure a lot of Georgia people listen to this, but we all know parking at Mercedes Benz can be a nightmare. And so it
sure.
was in June of 2022, right? 22. Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And so June of 2022, super hot outside. My wife was at least 6 months pregnant with our first kid. Um, excuse me.
Wow, yeah, that's right. The timing of it. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our daughter was born in November 22.
Mm-hmm.
So this was in June, and we had to like super take our time because she had high blood pressure in her pregnancy.
Mm,
But she totally like she was a total champion and just
yeah.
beasted out that walk up that long hill up.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Ivan Allen. Ivan Allen's perpendicular, but anyway,
Yeah.
what a
I know
freaking
what you're
show, dude.
talking about. Yeah, yeah.
But
Incredible. I mean,
yeah,
talk about a band with so many hits, but
yeah,
and they hit them all. And even the stuff from the new record, which I'm not super crazy about all their
sure,
newer stuff over the last
yeah,
couple albums, but I do love Coloratura. I think that's amazing. I wish they had played
yeah,
that. But but yeah, man, the set list was great. There was so much energy. Like
yeah,
they really get the audience involved and not just, with the light things. I mean, it's
yeah.
just there's so much like back and forth emotion. You can feel it.
Yeah, and I know that you and I were not far separated from each other physically at that show. We were pretty close to the top.
Yeah.
I think Lexi and I were at the second from the like actual very last top row. And I felt
Okay.
like I
Yeah.
felt like I was on the floor. Like it
Yeah. Yeah.
sounded incredible and almost from a visual perspective could have been a little bit of a vantage point because of all the light up bracelets and everything. Uh,
Exactly.
dude, it was just such a beautiful experience, and for us to be able to kind of have that time together when we're expecting our first child,
Yeah,
um,
man.
it was just so
Yeah.
special.
It marks like a season of life, like in
Yeah,
just so many
totally.
ways. And yeah,
Yeah,
fix you. I think that was the moment for me too, where yeah, I teared up on that one for sure. But
yeah,
just like to be a fan of that band for so long and see how far they've come and what they mean to so many people, like
totally.
all across the globe, it's really something, man. It was a beautiful night for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And like I said earlier, I'd seen Metallica there at Mercedes Benz, but that was the only other show I've ever seen there.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
just
actually that's the only show I've seen there. I have seen Atlanta play there once,
okay.
um
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, yeah, but first show. So yeah.
yeah. Amazing show. The only other one I have written on the list as my honorable mention would have been Manchester Orchestra at the Fox Theater for the stuffing in
Oh,
2021.
nice.
Um,
Okay. I
I
didn't
had
get to see
gotten
that one, but I'm gonna see them here at the next one,
me
actually.
too. I'll be
Oh,
there.
nice. Okay,
Yes,
cool. I will
actually,
see
I
you there, man.
my wife got me tickets for Father's Day. And she got me two
Awesome.
tickets. Yeah, she got me two tickets, and I was like, "Do you want to go?" She's like, "No, I don't want to go. Take one of
Yeah.
your friends." So Ryan, I'm taking Ryan with me.
Oh, okay.
Um,
And Ian's going with me. So
yeah,
yeah, we'll
perfect,
all
dude.
be a band called Love will be there, man.
Dude, we'll have to
Yeah.
meet up for or something, get dinner or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Um, but yeah, dude, that was the. I've been to the Fox several times. I've seen comedy shows there. I've seen
Hmm.
Broadway productions there.
I love
But
that
I'd never,
venue. Yeah.
dude, legendary. But
Yeah.
I'd never seen like a form there, and I ended up getting free tickets because a friend of mine's, like, it was, my friend's brother-in-law had tickets and he couldn't go, so I drove all the way to Marietta from my job to get those tickets from him,
Yeah.
and I ended up taking my best friend for his 27th birthday, 28th birthday, but it was just, and we were like, dude, two rows from the front or something. Like, it was just,
Hmm.
crazy. The only reason it didn't make the top three is because I love Manchester. They're Atlanta locals, legendary Atlanta band. But I'm not super, super familiar with their stuff.
Sure.
I just have always had a big appreciation for them being from here.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
Atlanta, Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, born and raised. I have a huge love for this city,
Yeah.
and all of its glory and all of its blemishes. I love Atlanta.
Same
Um,
here, man. Yeah.
but yeah, that was a great show. Their production, their lighting, their just sound. I mean, the
They're
Fox.
so good live, man. Like, and
Yeah, they were
and
crazy.
let me be clear, I'm in it for the stuffing this year mainly for Thrice because I've never
Me
got to
too.
hear them play Beggars before the
Yes, dude.
song.
I'm
So
so stoked.
I'm so excited because I know they're gonna play it because they're doing the full album. But
Yes.
but I do have to say about Manchester, my second favorite concert experience of all time is actually a Manchester Orchestra show. And I wasn't very familiar with them at the time, but this was in 2011 on the
Hmm.
Simple Math tour, and it was at the Tabernacle. And
Again, that venue, dude.
it was incredible, man. And I think it was one of those things where I was going through some stuff at the time, and it was just like
Yeah,
so cathartic. And they were playing, they played almost all of Me and Everything to Nothing, which is still stands as my favorite album of theirs, even
totally.
though they have so many great records. But man, they're just so great live. So
Yeah,
yeah, great
they
shout out
were,
to
man.
Manchester.
And yeah, dude, shout out to Andy. Like, that voice is so unique.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, you don't always want a band to sound exactly like the record,
yeah,
but and I wouldn't say that they did. Most bands like that are heavier sounding live.
yeah,
Um, and I think they were just perfect. Like, it was
yeah,
like lightning in a bottle for me, that show.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I like the band Foxing a lot, who was direct support for that show.
Hmm.
We caught kind of the second half of their set. They were great.
Yeah,
But Manchester was just on another level. It's like
yeah,
an aspirational kind of vibe and sound that I would love for
yeah,
ABC
yeah.
out to kind of catch that lightning in a bottle one day.
Yeah,
Um,
as far as current rock bands, like there's not many
yeah,
that do it like at that level. Thrice
yeah,
would be one, but
they're
yeah,
great. And
yeah.
I mean, I feel so ashamed for even saying this, but I haven't seen Thrice live yet.
Oh
Um,
man, you're in for a
I
treat.
I
Yeah,
cannot wait, dude. I love Dustin Kendrew, their songwriting, Tepe's
yeah,
guitar playing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm so stoked for that show, dude. Like I said, my
Oh
wife got me
yeah,
tickets. My wife got me tickets for Father's Day.
yeah,
And I probably think about that show like 2 or 3 times a week, how stoked I
yeah,
am for
yeah.
it. So yeah, I'm
That's
excited, man.
awesome, dude.
It's
I
gonna be
can't wait
great.
to see it with you. It's going to be a great
Yeah,
experience.
dude.
I do have to say since you mentioned the Fox, actually my third favorite show of all time was at the Fox. And and this is timely to talk about because I just saw him
Hmm.
again this past weekend um, at Chastain, but it's Ray LaMontagne. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Um, he's
A
been
little bit.
around for like 20-ish years now, but yeah, as far as singer-songwriters go, he's one of my faves. And
Yeah, dude.
he at the Fox, it was just him solo acoustic, nothing else. And just
Wow.
like the reverence, like you could hear a pin drop, and it was just he played at that point it was 2009, so he was playing just like all the best stuff, like the set list was
Yeah.
impeccable. And yeah, the Fox is another magical. Atlanta has so many great venues, dude. It's
Dude,
like it's ridiculous.
I know, man. And just shout out to the Atlanta music scene, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
um, Ian probably could explain this a lot better than me because he was a little bit more plugged in than I was. But when we were coming up, early mid 2000s to the kind of early teens, at least the local scene was so kind of cutthroat and competitive, and it was who can get on this tour, who can get this label, and not to
Yeah.
speak poorly of it, it's just kind of how it was. But now, like a lot of these younger kids are coming in. Not that I'm some old head or anything like that, but just turned 30. But I've been plugged in the
You're
music
so
scene for.
old, man.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, I retract that statement. But no, just I mean, I've been playing shows since I was 12. In the scene, so I've been around it for long enough to kind of see how it's grown over time.
Yeah.
And now, dude, it's healthier than it's ever been.
Yeah.
There's so much love, so much support in the Atlanta scene now,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially kind of in the heavier rock alt scene.
Hmm.
It's just such a good time to be in it. And I think with a band called Love, the kind of track that we're on right now, and our kind of staying consistent with writing and recording, and this show in December will be our only show of 2024. But I think we're going to be pretty busy next year. I hope we're pretty busy next year. But it's
Yeah.
just a great place to be in Atlanta, the music scene, and it's just so many great characters, great bands, great people, a lot of love. Yeah, I mean, I could wax forever about how much it means to me, but it's just I love it here. Born and raised here, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't unless I win the lottery and can get a beach house. I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, even extending out like into Athens, like
For sure, yeah.
Georgia Theater and 40 Watt, like so many cool places out
Oh
there, and
yeah.
the people are great. Yeah, I consider Atlanta home now. I'm from Jersey originally. Don't hold that against me, but
No,
yeah,
Jersey's cool, man. I like it.
yeah, there's some all right places up there. But did you have any other honorable mentions show wise, or I think you already kind of
Um,
shouted out Manchester, but
yeah, not written down. I mean,
yeah.
I've seen Under Oath a ton of times already, and I saw them
Yeah.
at the Georgia Theater in Athens. That was a great show.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they're great. I mean, off the top of my head, Circa Survive. I saw their 10-year anniversary of On
Oh,
Letting Go
nice.
for that record,
Yeah.
and that's just again talk about like from a musician standpoint,
Hmm.
what a almost flawlessly performed record. I mean that those guys are just insane on their instruments.
Yeah.
And of course Anthony, I mean his voice is insane. But yeah, they were great. And again at the Tabernacle, like
Yeah.
the it's just the best, dude. That place rocks.
Oh, totally, man. Yeah. I mean, God. So Manchester was definitely like my favorite show there, but I've also seen Damien Rice, which was similar to the Ray
Oh, cool.
LaMontagne thing because he was
Yeah, I know him.
mostly just solo. And then Neutral Milk Hotel, which was incredible and a very
Cool. Yeah, yeah,
rare experience.
yeah.
Um, I've seen Fiona Apple there, like just so many just amazing artists have played there, but
That's cool.
um, especially like before they get too big, like Kings
Yeah,
of Leon I saw there like
yeah,
when they only had their second album out, so that was really special too. But I could go on and on with you, man, like all night talking just talking about
same,
shows.
dude.
But
Same,
I can't wait to see you at the stuffing, man. That's gonna be an awesome night.
dude. Heck yeah, dude. I'm stoked. I
Yeah,
can't wait for that show, man. And of course, I'm a fall guy. I'm built for this cold weather.
yeah.
It's just like going to shows, especially when it's cold out. It's just
Oh yeah.
chef's
Fall
kiss.
in
I can't wait.
Georgia is the best,
Heck
baby.
yeah, dude. Heck
Yeah.
yeah. It's the best, man. I can't wait.
Well, dude, thank you for doing this again, man. This has been a
Yeah.
blast,
Thank you.
and thank you everybody out there for checking out the top three show. Now that you know what's going on, you may see another A Band Called Love member on here in the very near future. But yeah, be sure to check out A Band Called Love, Death Therapy. Anything else you wanted to shout out as far as stuff you're involved in, Blake? Or
Um, I play for I mean, if we want to get to the artist level, I play for a couple local country artists. So check out Stephen Moore and Logan Bonds. I play for those guys.
nice.
Um, cool guys, young guys up and coming in the kind of the local country scene. And I've been country music, man, I could talk about that at length too because it's been a recent development for me.
Yeah.
And it's just a vibe, man. Country's cool.
Yeah.
I used to be a hater for sure because it's like that's your dad's music, you know.
Right, right.
But I've really come to love it. Brooks and Dunn, shout out Brooks and Dunn, one of the best duos of all time.
Sure, yeah.
Um, Neon Moon, crazy song, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys are great. I've been playing with them both for about a year or so each. Um, as far as other projects, that's really it. I mean, I stay busy for sure.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
with the family and the job and playing with all the artists that I do play with. But a band called Love is definitely number one for me right now. And hopefully, God willing, we will be very busy next year.
Oh, absolutely, man. I know it's coming, so be on the lookout, everybody.
Yeah, man.
Thank you again, Blake, and
Thank you.
we'll see you on the next one. Love you, dude.
All right, buddy. Love you too, buddy. See
All
ya.
right, see ya.
Lights will guide you home.